Tonight, Sean Diddy Combs facing a new wave of civil suits accusing him of rape and sexual assault. The 6 suits first obtained by NBC News were filed in New York on behalf of 4 men and 2 women, all of whom are remaining anonymous out of fear, according to the suits. The accusations date as far back as 1995 and as recently as 2021. One of the lawsuits include an allegation of assault and rape of a woman in a Manhattan hotel room when she was just 19 years old. One of the male accusers claims he was just 16 years old when he was sexually assaulted by Combs. Another alleging he was drugged and raped by Combs in a van at one of Combs's famous white parties in the Hamptons. While a third male accuser claims that in 2021 at a party hosted by Combs, he was raped by 3 men, including Combs, according to the lawsuits.
There's an overarching theme here, as you probably can see, which is basically Sean Combs feels like he can do whatever he wants.
Combs' legal team have not commented on the latest string of suits, which were the first from Texas attorney Tony Busby, who claims Diddy won't be the only celebrity named in future lawsuits.
Certainly, there will be people named in these suits that will raise some eyebrows.
Last week, a federal judge set Combs' criminal trial date for May 5th to face sex trafficking and racketeering charges. Combs has pleaded not guilty to those charges and has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing as his attorneys continue to push for his release as he awaits trial. Lester?
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.